Roofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Need more energy throughout the day? Looking for a kick to your workout? RockinThatIDLife.com has you covered with delicious flavors you've grown to love in tropical fruit and mixed berry, but now fall in love with the new fruit punch and orange flavors. Try them all at RockinThatIDLife.com.
Realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage LLC makes the moving process easier. Work with a realtor who plays and studies the game and will work as hard as the boys on the ice to get you the best deal. Check out Mike on the web at strikewithmike.com and jumpstart your move today. That's strikewithmike.com. Welcome to episode 6 of season 11, which is episode number 382 all time of the often imitated, never duplicated. If you owned a Patriots sunroom, how would you use it? We are the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Tonight we're addressing the Blues Nation. We're addressing Blues Nation on the State of the Union during these trying times as the Blues are in the middle of a 5-game losing streak. Special thanks to Rockin' That ID Life, Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage, and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them all out. It is Wednesday, November 2nd, and we're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. To interact with the show on social media, our handle is on the socials is at LGB Radio. Just do a search for us. You will find us. And if you haven't already done so, please like, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, buy a t-shirt from our shop at letsgoblues.com. Do whatever you can to help us out. We appreciate it greatly. I'm Kurt Price. I'm my co-host for tonight's State of the Union Blues show are Bill Day and Jeff Ponder. The agenda for tonight, which I've already stated, includes basically what's going on with the St. Louis Blues. I think that's the whole show. We're not going to go into detail. We talked about this.
Wait, we're not going to go
Matt Harris.
goal by goal on Monday?
No.
no goal by goals on Monday. No, thank you.
I will just go ahead and add this out there. I put this on Twitter for those who didn't see it. Monday, I literally turned the game off in the second period. That is the earliest I think I have ever turned off a Blues game. And it was simply because my wife and son are trying to have fun, and I'm sitting there motherfucking my hockey team. And so I'm like, in order to, maybe let my son and wife have some fun on Halloween, maybe I just shouldn't watch this game. So that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, you got to calm down, Jeff. It's going to be okay.
And for me, it's
going to be okay.
For me, it's like, if that's a one game off, it's maybe they're, at this point 4-4 or whatever the record should be. And they're losing that game badly. I'm not as upset, but a 5-game losing streak early on in the year, it's a little hard to not get a little upset.
I don't even know what I was. I was just looking at it and I'm thinking, all right, I guess we're not turning this around quite yet. Maybe next game is when it starts, but not this game. And it got to be comical after a while because it was the same fucking goal going in every time. It's no sticks in the lane and a backdoor pass, and it's tap in easy backdoor.
Well, if you ask Greg Wyshynski, it was bad goaltending. So
we'll get into that because we got some stuff to say about that. I know that. I know you and I agree on that, and we'll get Bill's way into.
I guarantee
it's all the goaltending's fault.
And we've already got a good comment here. I want to point out Matt Harris right off the bat. Matt throws this out, and this is before we even started talking about it. Blaming goaltending on this team is like blaming Moses for the flood. That shit just happens in front of them. Embarrassing. I trust Armstrong to read the situation, though, rebuild or not. So Clearly, we are already. This is the earliest thing we've ever gotten into actual hockey talk, guys. But we will get into this more in depth in a little bit.
Yep. We got just one announcement and a couple of things we want to talk about. I did mention the in the intro spiel that we have the t-shirts in the letsgoblues.com shop. A couple new ones in there. Brought a couple old ones back that we hadn't had out there in a while. They're $24, I think, for a shirt plus shipping. We don't charge $35. Whenever you go into it like a t-shirt shop and you see an ad online for a t-shirt, like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's like a 80s pop reference or 90s cool reference, whatever. That's a neat little nostalgia shirt. How much is it? $36 for a fucking t-shirt. $36, and then plus shipping is like that's expensive. That's crazy. It's a t-shirt. So we made them about as cheap as we could with the print on demand option. So we do make a few bucks on each shirt. Just goes right back into the show. So you can consider that like a donation to the show. And it is no longer you order and wait a week to 10 days for it to ship until other people order. It's when you order, it goes out, it gets processed right away and goes out ASAP. So you don't have to wait anymore.
Yeah, we use Bonfire correct?
Yeah.
That's what we're using. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
Bonfire
and the quality of the shirt's good. I'm wearing one right now with the they make me
my
drink.
Team makes me drink. Yeah,
the Blue Note with the beer bottle.
Yeah, and I'll add with these shirts too. They are like you said, they're high quality. They ship fast. And you say we only make a couple bucks off them. That is 100% correct. We're not. It's not like we're somebody buys a T-shirt and we're making all $24 or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's like 3 something. It's less than $4. It's like $3.50, something like that.
Very minimal. But what you're doing when you buy these shirts is you are helping us by helping spread the word of the show by wearing it out. Maybe wearing it to a game, wearing it to an event, even just wearing it to the store. Plus, they're good looking shirts. I mean, Kurt's designed these. I hate patting Kurt on the back, but I'm going to. They're great designs. They're fun. They're different. They're not what you're going to get at the Blues store. They're a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting, and some of it relates back to the show. So, help us out by buying one of those shirts.
Just trying to skirt the edge on what we can and can't do with certain content.
Exactly.
Trying to stay on the legal side of things. Yeah.
It looked like Bill had something to say. I don't know if you were going to comment, buddy.
Well, it's past. I was going to say, that you don't like patting Kurt on the back, but you love rubbing him on the front.
That is true. I'll rub him anywhere he lets me.
I knew you were going that direction, and I could do nothing to stop you.
Hey, I was going to let it go, but Jeff put me on the spot.
Yeah,
Sorry.
man. Well, it's comical and true and inspirational. Sure.
Yeah. It's letsgoblues.com, and there's a link for the shop up there. So check them out, please. Give them a look. Let's look at them anyway. And let's just give them a look.
Talking about apparel. I'll add one more quick announcement. The second round of Let's Go Blues Radio jerseys orders went out. I know our friend Austin Lynch. I delivered one to him on Sunday. Our winner of the bracket challenge from last year's playoffs received hers. She was very happy to receive that. So, Kim, thank you very much for participating. And then a couple other people. Friend of the show, she hasn't received it yet, but friend of the show, Amanda Levier of the Minnesota Whitecaps, actually got one too. So she will be receiving hers hopefully at the end of this week. Maybe we'll see her post something on social media about it. But I also want to add our friends at allblackhockeysticks.com. If you play, they're great for sticks, but they're even better for jerseys. They're the ones that do the jerseys for us. And I got a free gift for making a second order on those jerseys. What you're seeing me wear right now. I'm going to give you guys a little spin so you can take a look. Kurt, why don't you go ahead and explain what you're seeing here for the podcast audience?
Well, it's a skin tight. It looks like it's painted on. No, it's a bowling shirt, blue, like a mashup between a hockey jersey and a bowling shirt. So it's blue, and it's got the white and yellow stripes on the sleeves, the short sleeves, and our Let's Go Blues Radio logo on the upper left chest and the on the shoulders. Got some stripes up on top on the shoulders, and then stripes at the bottom, the hockey stripes at the bottom. So looking quite slick there, my man.
Yeah,
and if I can read the card right, hails from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Austin Lynch says jerseys are fucking amazing. Wearing mine tonight. So yeah, if you are interested in Let's Go Blues Radio jersey, just reach out to us. We'll hook you up. But yeah, this literally came like I got the box of jerseys. I'm like, oh great, and then I saw this like sitting in a bag at the very top, and I'm like, did they mess up one of the jerseys? What the hell is that?
They cut the sleeves
I pull it out, and I'm like, whoa! And it had a little note with it that said, "Enjoy your free gift," and I'm like, this is pretty cool. So unfortunately, I only got one, but I might have to hit up Larry over at allblackhockeysticks.com and see if he can make two more for Kurt and Bill, because this is a pretty sweet shirt.
That's nice.
Then I think we're obligated to have a bowling team.
Oh yeah,
Agree.
that's right. We need one more though, right? Isn't it 4 to a team for bowling?
We don't want
believe
to
it
ask
is.
Austin because we don't like him. So
I
let's
believe it's
get
4.
Joe from Cardinal Nation.
Yeah.
He bowls.
He sounds like a bowler.
He really does. He sounds like a bowler. Joe, that is a. I don't think that's a compliment. to
No, it's not.
somebody.
It is
You
not.
sound like a bowler.
I
Look like a
hope
bowler
he's.
isn't a compliment either.
I really hope he's listening right now.
That's pretty good. You look like a bowler. You sound like a bowler. Yeah. So yeah, that's it was a nice when you sent us a picture of that. I was like, that's pretty darn cool. Who doesn't
Very
like
cool,
the bowling
yeah.
shirt? You could pretend to be Chandler from Friends.
Yes, exactly.
But you cannot pretend to be as cool as the dude. Just
No.
don't try it.
And do you? Brandy Capone says, had to look at the shirts. Oh my God, Becky, look at his beard. Made her audibly laugh. So that was, that's a shirt in there. Oh my God, Becky, look at his beard.
Yeah, that is one of the great shirts over at the letsgoblues.com store.
I was going to say something, and then
there's some good comments coming here, guys. Keep them up.
What was I going to say about the shirts? God damn it. Okay, never mind. Official beers of episode number 382. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle is CPrice12. Jeff says JPonder94, and Bill says Billy Blue Note 33. Bill, sir, why don't you lead us off with your beer of the shoe?
My beer of the shoe is Fat Elvis. Fat Elvis Absence of Light, peanut butter, chocolate, and banana milk stout from our good friends at Four Hands Brewery. Was lucky enough to pick some of this up at the Total Wine in Fairview Heights last week. And wow, all the bananas.
It does. It is a very strong banana, which I kind of like because I like
so good.
Wells. Is it Wells banana bread beer?
Yeah.
It's banana bread beer. No, it's banana bread beer. Which I really do like, and it has a strong banana flavor. And I guess apparently I like bananas in my beer.
Yeah, no, I think it's really, really well balanced. After the initial attack of banana, because it is the most banana forward beer you could get.
That'd be a good name for a beer. The Attack of the Bananas.
Yeah.
Ooh, I do like that.
Attack of the Bananas.
I should have also shared. I'm drinking out of. I don't think I've ever used this glass in the show before, but in 2000 there was a stout bout. An actual event called Stout Bout that Schlafly and John D. McGurk's pub had. And it was quite an amazing event. And I hardly ever used this mug or this pinter, I should say.
Pinter. Very nice. Well done.
Top
that, Jeff.
For those people who are like, oh, I want to try that Fat Elvis. It's sold out everywhere. Don't go buy it. I'm telling him that because I want to go buy it all everywhere because I haven't found it yet. I've only looked at 2 places, but I know you said, Kurt, you went to, I know, I'm terrible.
I can't find it anywhere. I went to 2 places.
2 places. No, I went to my 2 go-to places to get it and they both didn't have it. So Kurt, I know you said you actually went down to the brewery and they were sold out. So
yeah, I went down there over the last weekend, and they had only been out for a little over a week, right? A week and a half. And when they had released it, and they released it for an event they had that not last weekend, but the weekend before. And I guess it went, it was gone, but they had it on tap. So I had it on tap there. I've had it twice on tap. It's so good. Had it once at Llewellyn's, Webster Groves, and I had it once at Four Hands on tap. So I've
had it twice at Llewellyn's and in Webster Groves, and it's so good. So yeah, I might have to make a little journey out this weekend and look more than 2 places.
Well, find it. My beer of the show is.
What about mine?
Oh, I thought we did. Okay, good. Sorry, I thought we were. We were talking about beer, and for some reason I thought you did yours. Sorry, my bad.
Nope. So we got out of my Duff glass tonight. I'm drinking some of my favorite. Went ahead and stocked up because I like to drink it throughout the winter. The O'Fallon pumpkin beer. To me, the best damn pumpkin beer at least in all of St. Louis, but to me, the best that I've ever had. I like the Pumpkin a lot. That's a good one. That's from Southern, right?
Yep.
Southern Tier. Yeah.
Southern's here. Yep. And then but the O'Fallon Pumpkin is my favorite. And if you haven't bought it yet, go buy it now, because at least in my area, I know Kurt and Bill, you said differently a little bit, but in my area, right after Halloween, it is almost hard. It's almost impossible to find.
No, it seems like you can find that stuff around here until December.
That's almost pretty nice.
Yeah. The store in Troy, I think, still had it on the shelves in the spring last year. So,
well, I went ahead. I usually wait until after Halloween, then I say, all right, I'm going to go stock up. I was out last weekend, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Deerberg's. Whatever they have, I'm just going to buy. So I think I bought like 5 6-packs. So that should get me through the winter.
That's almost 30 beers.
Yes. All right, Kurt, your turn.
All right, my turn. So my beer, the show, and Ponder's going to be upset. I found I have Fat Elvis. I know a girl who apparently knows how to get things, such as Fat Elvis.
Ooh, it's
in St. Louis.
Lady.
Yep. So and I'll reiterate everything Bill said. It's quite good, very banana-y, delicious. If you can find it, get it. Because it ain't gonna be around too long. And apparently, I mean, you can go to Four Hands, get on draft now, and who knows who else has it on draft? Llewellyn's probably still, but who knows how long that's gonna last.
When I first started doing the summer series, I had Steve Albers from Center Ice Brewery on, and after we got done with our interview portion, we kind of talked for a little bit after. I was over at his house, and he had talked about a potential partnership with us. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the show, but he's like, we should brew a beer that's Let's Go Blues Radio themed. He's like, what would you and Kurt and Bill want in it? And I'm like, I can tell you right now, Absence of Light is like one of the best, one of the favorite of the beers on the show. Plus, we all like banana beers. And he's like, oh, we could do something like that. So maybe we'll talk to Steve one day and try to get something going, because that would be awesome.
Well, I know on Instagram or Twitter or somewhere when they were still had their brewery was open, I mentioned that they needed a chocolate milk stout or a chocolate stout. They don't have one, and a lot of places do have them. They're quite popular, this time of year especially. So I was hoping that they would do one of those. They do a lot. I mean, it'd be great if a brewery, would kind of, I mean, I know IPAs sell big and everything, but, sometimes they just have so many IPAs that they're offering. It's like, oh, this one's a double IPA. This one's a triple IPA. This one's a hazy IPA. I got the 14 IPAs. It's like, well, you can mix in some stouts and some lagers. Places typically only have like one lager, but they got like 5 IPAs on tap.
Unfortunately, that's the popular way to go.
Yeah. I don't know, to each their own, I guess. Andrew Duncan, he passed away. He's actually part of the show. He played Jim Carr on the movie Slapshot. He was the play-by-play man up in the booth, and also hosted. What was the name of the show on Slapshot?
A look at sports.
A look at sports. Yeah.
Now a look at sports.
Yeah, look at sports. And it plays at the end of our show. It's played at the end of our show for years. It's just fitting. It works well.
I think it went very well.
I think it went very well.
No, it's unfortunate. I saw that news. I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those things where like you don't even think about the guy. You just assume. You hear the voice. You watch the movie. You love it, but then it's like when the guy passes. Same thing with like Hagrid from Harry Potter. When that I'm sorry, Eddie Coltrane, is that his name?
Roscoe P.
He passed away recently, and it's one of those things where it's like you watch the movie, you love the movie, you love the character, but then when they pass, you're like, oh yeah, that's a real person. Like that sucks, and that's kind of how this was. Like you don't even think about the guy, and then you hear that he passed, and you think, oh man, Jim Carr's no longer with us.
Honestly, if you had asked me yesterday, 2 days ago, if he was still alive, I would have guessed no. I would have guessed he died before. I wouldn't have guessed he was still alive.
Sounds like he led a long life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And think with Dickie Dunn. God, I'm blanking the I'm looking it up now.
If I knew where you were going with that story, I'd
No,
I was gonna
just-
say.
And the actor Emmett Walsh, right? He is still around. Like you'd think he'd be dead at this point because he looked pretty old in that, and Andrew Carr looked pretty old in that movie. That movie is coming up. That it was close to 50 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's coming up on 50
yeah.
years old. Yeah.
And
Yep.
those guys were pretty old in that movie, but or at least they seemed.
You know what's funny?
I was gonna
No.
say let's also just remember that in the 70s, if you looked like you were 60, you were probably 20.
Yeah,
True.
that I was just
True.
gonna say that I want to say that Archie Bunker and from All in the Family is and
Carol
actually
O'Connor?
his Carol O'Connor his age when he played Archie Bunker is how old I am now. He was like 47,
crazy?
48 years old. I'm like, are you shitting me? He looks 75 on that show. So yeah, he's all completely white, and being overweight doesn't help him any, but he looks old on the show.
Let's see.
All
Trying
right.
to find where Andrew Duncan was born. It has his death date. It doesn't have his birthday.
I think he was born in a crossfire hurricane.
Well, I'm
He was
looking to
born
see
in
how
New
old he was
York
during
City.
Slapshot.
New York City.
Yeah, that's all
Yep.
they have.
Was he born a poor black child?
That's funny. Emmett Walsh was also in The Jerk.
Why does he hate these cans? All right.
And
Well, you can
he
look
was
that
the
up over
guy
the
that
break.
was trying to kill him. He was the guy that shot the cans.
It was so you can look that up during the break. But up next is the State of the Blues Nation address. We'll break down the current state of the team after this word from ID Life.
Every beer league hockey night, I grab my hockey bag and sticks and throw them in the trunk of my car. And the very next thing I do, I mix up a boost of energy courtesy of RockinThatIDLife.com. It's formulated to break up its delivery in 3 ways, which helps me get through all 3 periods of hockey. Phase 1 provides a rapid onset of energy, concentration, alertness, and motivation. By period 2, I'm receiving a dose of sustained energy, increased focus, metabolism, cognitive function, performance, and feelings of well-being, which I need with the way I play. In Phase 3, I'm getting fatigue protection without jitters and crash, an elevated mood, and a reduction of fluid retention to help me make the big play when it counts. This same triphasic approach helps me when I drink it during work hours or simply just for a pick-me-up when I need it. Try one of the 4 energy flavors by visiting RockinThatIDLife.com, but make sure to email Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
So how you doing, Jeff?
I'm having to do math, unfortunately. Okay, so this came out 46
We're going to be
years
here a
ago.
while.
Half an hour.
Hang on. He was 49 in that movie because he died at 95. That's how old he was.
Wow.
So he was 49 when that movie was made.
He did live a long life. Good for him.
Good for him. Yeah,
hope he
good for him.
had a happy and healthy life up till the end, because sometimes
Me too.
those last few years are rough.
His last credited film thing was 1987, so he'd been out of the biz for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, speaking of not looking good your last couple years, last little bit, let's talk about the St. Louis Blues.
My, how the turntables from the start of the 3-game the 3-0 start, right? After a nice 3-0 start to the season, which consisted of a 5-2 win versus Columbus, a 4-3 win versus Seattle, a game in which they didn't play very well at all, but they won. A 2-0 win versus Edmonton, a game in which they played very well. Outscoring those teams 11-5, and 2 of those 3 teams are currently above 500. That was a good start.
Can I add before we get to that, the next point here? Yes, agree 100%. Not a good win against Seattle. They did not look good.
Mhm.
I didn't think they looked very good against Columbus either.
No,
Now,
but-
granted, that was their first game of the
Right.
season. Columbus
Yep.
had already played, 3 games at that point?
Two or three,
It was
whatever.
2,
Yeah.
and they were
Yeah.
back to back.
Yeah, and they had that real rough 18 seconds where they gave up the 2 goals in the second period.
Yeah.
But I still was like, this team can play a lot better than this. And then
Yep.
they had that bad game against Seattle that they still won. And they had a great game against Edmonton. That was, to this point, clearly their best game of the season.
And then the wheels came off, losing 5 straight, a 4-0 loss to Winnipeg, a 3-1 loss to Edmonton, a game in which they played really well in that game, and were kind of fucked. They got screwed at the end with that call that should have been a call when O'Reilly was taken down, and it wasn't made. And then Edmonton scores like 20 seconds later or something like that, 30 seconds later.
Not just blaming officiating, though. They needed to capitalize on their chances, and they did not.
No, I agree. But it was a really good game. 1-1 late, and
I wasn't even mad after. I wasn't even mad at the end of that game.
I wasn't either. It was a blatantly obvious missed call. And then just I think, that's in crunch time, late in the game. Things are magnified, amplified, and you don't complain about that kind of a call and saying it cost you the game 8 minutes into the game in the first period. You don't do that.
Right.
It's like at the end of the game that's when things get tight and that's when things get amplified. But anyway, a 6-2 loss versus Nashville, a 7-4 loss versus Montreal, and the game against Montreal, this loss against Montreal, this was when I was like, okay, there's a problem.
Yeah,
Montreal wasn't playing that bad, I guess, but 7-4.
I think Montreal
they were winning
played
3-1. They were winning 3-1.
Montreal played a good game. I really think that.
I agree.
They played a good game. But the Blues we'll talk about the Kings game here too. The Blues just allowed so many backdoor chances. I mean, it was over and over again. Guys were just getting wide open, coming on the far wing, and just backdoor chance after backdoor chance. And that's where that, to be, kind of started with those crazy backdoor chances, and it only got worse against LA.
Yeah, and then the 5-1 loss versus LA, which was probably top to bottom the worst game I've seen the Blues play in quite some time.
Since the Mike Yeo era.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, and not just because this is the first time they've lost 5 in a row since the Mike Yeo era, but that's kind of fitting, I guess. But this game was terrible. This game was, there was you missing open nets offensively, not generating a whole lot of great chances. And the chances you do get, you just miss wide open nets.
Or Jordan Kyrou stick handling all the way right into Jonathan Quick territory.
As a forward, I'm putting myself in his position. That's a thing where he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He doesn't know what to do. He's indecisive. He's indecisive on what he wants to do. Right. You've got a 3-on-0, and who was it with? It was with Thomas, and who else was on the? Was it Tarasenko?
It was
whoever. But he's the shooter. He's the shooter.
That's what I thought. Actually, it was O'Reilly.
Okay, he's the shooter on that line. Give it up. You cross. As soon as you get it. It wasn't like a long 3-on-0, but it was a fucking 3-on-0 for a bit. You give the puck up right away, and then get ready to get back. If you're the shooter, or go in and just take the shot. He didn't know what to do. He comes in and he stick handles, and right when he goes to make at what ended up being a poor decision to pass where he tried to pass it to, it gets poked away by Quick. Puck never even gets to where it's supposed to go, and nothing on that.
I want to ask Bill real quick about that play, because as a goalie, like, I saw that play and I read what Jonathan Quick read in my mind. I read, like, this dude's not going to pass the puck until the very last minute. It's a 3-on-0. I'm going to come out and just fucking challenge him and force him to do something. This is exactly what Quick did. Quick played it to me 100% correct. And Kyrou looks like the fucking fool, especially since, 20 seconds later, the Kings go down and score. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, Bill, your thoughts. Was it like a 50-50, Kyrou being an idiot and Quick playing it amazing, or how did you read that play?
I thought Quick knew Kyrou was just, he had him dead to rights in terms of knowing that he hadn't committed to anything. He was still stick handling and his head wasn't, he certainly wasn't looking to shoot because he wasn't eyeing the net, and he really wasn't looking to pass because he wasn't really looking over his shoulder for who he's going to give it to. And I thought he read his indecisiveness and just got out there and, made a fairly easy poke check. Right.
Yeah.
He knew he's going to come close enough to me, and he's not committed at the point to shoot, or committed where he gets to below the circle that he's going to shoot. So I can come out, I can get out there and get my stick on the spot. And he was 100% right.
And by the time he did actually try and pass the puck, when it gets poked away, their defenseman had gotten back a little. I mean, was on that centerman. I think it was O'Reilly. I mean, wasn't in front of him, but had caught up to him. And it was going to be a bitch if the puck did get through and got to O'Reilly for him to get a shot off. I just think you can't, as a forward coming down, you can't, it's 3-0. You can't wait that long. No. You come in, bottom of the circle, you shoot. Or dish it off way earlier and do the fucking backdoor thing that they've been doing on you all game. So,
or do what I think he should have done. Look up, see Quick's kind of coming out to challenge and take away your pass as basically playing like a goalie / defenseman. Skate to his left, or I guess, Quick's right, and
Quick's
try
right.
Quick's right. Kairu's left, and try and get him to stretch out, and then maybe you have an open net to shoot at.
I don't remember correctly, I don't think
anything correct on that play.
No, I don't either. But if I remember correctly, I don't think Quick was out that far. I don't think that was I just think Kairu didn't.
It would have still been a better decision than what the fuck he did.
Well, yeah. He didn't do anything. I mean, getting a shot on net is better than what he did. So
yeah,
true.
Right. And like you said, the Kings go down and score 20 seconds later. The Blues call the timeout. And the whole timeout was Berube yelling at Kairu. And you could see him say, "You got to shoot that fucking puck."
Yep. And he should have. He's 100% right.
Yeah, he's a shooter. You don't come in. I mean, he's got sick hands. Everyone knows it. But this season so far, and actually the last half of last season, his hands aren't working the way they should have been, the way they were in the first half of last season. So I mean, just go in and fucking rip the puck. Don't try and be too fancy. Keep it simple. I just think that's what he has to do. He's trying to do way too much. He's trying to come in, toe drag from the right wing across the middle, and use a defenseman as a screen, let a shot go, and he's doing all kinds of fancy shit. You know what? Just you've got the opportunity at times. Just take the shot.
I mean, there's a lot to disagree, but man, at that moment, I'd already been calling for it before that. If I'm Berube, I'm saying you're not moving from the bench the rest of this game. That was the dumbest fucking thing you could have done. Why not? He is not an NHL player at this point.
Because we don't have.
He can't compete.
First off, because we're not scoring goals, and he is a guy
because of Kairu.
No, that's a whole team. I'm saying if you're going to bench him, you got to bench half the team because half the team is playing very similar to him.
Half the team is on Kairu to score goals, and he's not doing it.
Neither a lot of people on the team. I mean, you've got Shen, and you've got
Shen is playing fine.
Yeah, no, I said Shen's playing
about.
Shen and Falk are playing fine. That's what I'm saying. There's two guys scoring goals, and that's about it.
But I'm saying with Kairu, Kairu is your guy. You made that clear this summer. If he can't score goals, he's useless to you. He's not doing it.
First off, they're not going to bench him because he is getting shots on net. Okay. Now, as bad as he's been, he has been awful. I agree with you 100%. He's been really, really bad, but he's getting chances. They're going to start going in eventually. You were without, when you called for him to be benched, they were without Buchnevich and Saad due to injury. And I'm saying you can't, but you're basically throwing in the towel in the game. You're taking away all your potential
in the AHL.
You're taking away
that belongs in the AHL right now. And let me clarify. I'm not saying the Blues need to send him to the AHL. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying is the way that he's playing, he belongs in the AHL. So taking him off the roster is not actually hurting because he is hurting you when he's on the ice.
You're taking away the potential of scoring goals, and we don't have any right now. No one's producing like they should be. I think to bench a guy that could possibly, break out any game now. I think that's a mistake. Unless you've got other guys. Now, you know what? If other guys are putting the puck in, that's great. And if he's playing shitty like he is, and you've got other guys contributing, okay. Well, you got guys who are actually doing the job when he's not. So sit him. Let him watch the other guys and see how it's done. That's not happening. I don't think you can do that. You're putting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot.
Just 6 games to start the season. This bleeds over from last year.
I understand.
He is awful. He has no business being on NHL ice right now.
I understand, and I think there's other ways to do it. You cut his ice time. You cut his ice time.
I saw things.
You give him a talking
that made me say, if I saw things that made me say, okay, he's going to break out. He's making the right play. It's just bad luck. It's not going in for him. I don't see that right now. I see it as a guy who needs conditioning and needs to learn how to play in the NHL again. He's not that guy right now. He's not the guy that's going to score a goal.
Would it surprise you if he scored 2 goals next game?
No, because he already did that. He did that the other game. He did it against Montreal.
Okay. Well, if he can score 2 goals in any given game, you don't sit the guy, especially when your team needs goals. If
when you score 2 goals, but you're at fault for your team not scoring 3 more, I think it's time to bench the guy.
Oh, no. Wow, that's
yes.
Silly. Come on. You score 2 goals, you get benched? That's ridiculous.
Oh, please. You're telling me that Brett Hull had great games all the time, even when he put up 2 goals?
I'm not saying a 2-goal game is a great game compared to what he could have had, but I'm saying you don't bench a guy after a 2-goal game. Who's ever done that?
I'm just saying, when you're playing like absolute dog shit, stop calling it a Keenan move.
It is a Keenan move. It's benching a guy after scoring 2 goals in a game is a Keenan move.
It's a
definition of a Keenan move.
Keenan was the highest example of it, the most annoying about it. A good strict coach
now
will bench a guy if he's playing like dog shit, which Jordan Kyrou is.
You would bench him if he scored 2 goals, but fucked up because he could have scored 4. You'd bench him.
No, I'm not saying him score 4 goals. I'm saying he is causing his team not to score more goals.
I asked you. I said if he scores 2 goals,
he gets the puck along the boards and just loses it instantly.
Oh, I know. I'm 100% with you that he has benched dog shit. I'm with you. But but my mindset is there are other ways to deal with it. You can cut his ice time. You can drop him down the lineup. You can have him. You can scold him or whatever the fuck you want to do. I wouldn't take him out of the lineup though. Not right now. If it continues for a long time, I may down the road maybe sure. I know it's been half of last season and this season, which is concerning a little bit to me. Even though he's still on his first contract, his $8 million per doesn't kick in until next season, which I think a lot of people don't realize because they're complaining about his contract.
I will agree with you there that there's a lot of people saying, "Well, he's our highest paid forward." It's like, well, not yet technically. Mm-hmm. Let's dial that back, and I'll say I do think Jordan Kyrou is going to work out of this again. I think a lot of people misconstrued some of the stuff I was saying on Twitter because I was saying like, guy doesn't look like he belongs.
I thought you were pretty clear.
People, no, I wasn't. No. Because a lot of people were like, you want to.
He doesn't belong on the NHL ice right now, but you get him to the AHL.
But then I said, bench him 1 game in the same fucking tweet. So when I say that, it's he doesn't look like he belongs. Make him sit a game like they did with David Perron in 2019, which, by the way, fucking worked. Let's do the same thing to Kyrou. I'm not at all saying send him down. You can't. I don't want to trade him either. You gotta send a message to him, and there's no message. You
can send a message in other ways than benching. That the benching to me, it's an old school way to do it. I think.
Disagree.
No, so. I think if you're going to make that move, this is the time of the season that you can make that move. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it before you get to Thanksgiving, right? So maybe in the next couple of games.
You know what? I'll agree with that. If you have to do it, early season is the time to do it, but I wouldn't do it at all.
Right. And
not now.
Right. Well, I don't know.
So what do you do then? You say just cut his ice time?
I cut his ice time back. Oh yeah,
2 or 3
I drop him down to the third line. Sure. Yeah.
So
That's what I would do.
All right, you want to try that first? Maybe I'm just too strict.
Yeah, so,
I'll accept
call
that.
Brube. Yeah, I'll call Brube. Yeah.
No,
we'll
I'll
just
accept that.
work it out.
If they were to cut him down to third or fourth line, I think I would be really happy with that. But for me, it's just a matter of, and we saw the same thing in the early 2019.
What's he do? What's
where
he
it
getting?
was-
Like 17, 18 minutes a game, something like that? Give him 13 minutes
Yeah.
a game. 12 minutes a game.
If you were to cut his ice time down first, I'm good with that. But the problem is that right now I'm just seeing Berube say, well, he'll figure it out. Let's put him right back out there. No, you got to send some kind of message. There's absolutely no message being sent right now. When you keep throwing him back out there.
He almost played. He played 1951. He played 20 minutes against Nashville.
Absolutely,
almost 20 against Edmonton. Yeah, I would cut his time back. I mean, he's been terrible, and I've seen him get time on the power play. That's wrong. Get him off the power play. That a power play, to me, you could use the power play as a reward of sorts. Of sorts. If you're playing well, get your ass on the power play. There you go. Put Nathan Walker on the power play instead of Kyrou. That'd send a better message. That'd embarrass him. Getting benched or getting scratched for a game. I don't think that's as embarrassing as seeing your spot on the power play being taken by Nathan Walker. I agree. That'd send a nice 2-minute message. Say, hey, you want to play the power play and get the chances for some bonus points? Play better. Get your head out of your ass.
Yeah, we've got I think a new live listener here, Zach. I'm going to say Zach Boulanger. We'll see if that's correct. He says, push him down the lineup, give someone else some ice time on the first line, make him earn his spot back. Yeah, that's what Kurt's been calling for. And again, maybe I'm just too strict of a coach, considering, by the way, I'm the only one here who's actually coached hockey before.
That's not true.
Correct?
I coached hockey.
Oh, you did?
Kids roller hockey, if you count that.
That does count. I'll count that.
It was for one season. One season I did.
So Jeff,
I got in trouble for benching a kid the year I coached roller hockey.
You're a one-trick pony with this shit.
No, you know what? He learned his lesson. He did. He scored right after I put him back out there.
I think it's Zach Boulerice. Boulerice, that is how you pronounce it. Zach Boulerice.
Jesse Boulerice?
Zach Boulerice in the chat.
Boulanger, it's French for butcher.
Boulanger. I know it's Boulanger. I assume it's Boulanger, not maybe it's Bollinger. Could be Bollinger.
He gave me the mark that maybe I'm good.
Okay symbol.
Yeah.
He's either saying okay or it's a white supremacist thing, right?
Okay. Don't say that about our new live listener.
I'm joking. It's a joke. We're not.
You're gonna make me say, well, fuck these guys.
We don't work for anybody. We work for ourselves. We can say whatever the fuck we want.
So I have to ask Jeff, if Tortorella was not hired by the Flyers, would you want him to come in here?
Actually, surprisingly, no. I don't hate Tortorella like a lot of people do. I do think he's a lot of what he does and says in the media annoys the hell out of me. Like, okay, if you're saying this to the media, say it to your team, which I don't know, maybe he is, but I just feel like a lot of what he brings into the media, it's just a little too much. He's got
a flair for the dramatic, very theatrical with the press conferences and things.
Yeah. I'll admit, as much as theatrical as I can get on this show, if I were an NHL head coach, I'd be way more tight-lipped.
Zach Bollinger says, let's see. Hold on, scroll off the screen. Also, Martin Firk, give these guys a chance to sit the guy playing like shit and give young guy a chance. They were actually talking about that on ESPN Radio today, about giving him a shot over Neighbors. Send the Neighbors down to Springfield for a week or two, let him maybe put some points up down there, get some confidence, and then bring him back up in 10 days or 2 weeks, something like that. That I can see that because hasn't gotten on the board. He's been invisible. I guess at least with Kyrou, you've noticed him on the ice. but it's just in a
Noticed
bad
him be
way.
terrible.
Neighbors, you forget he's playing. I haven't really.
Yeah.
He's just like doesn't do much.
Neighbors has been kind of a surprise. I mean, he's a rookie. You know that's
Yeah.
going to happen, but he's actually been kind of a surprise to me. Outside of that first goal he scored, yeah, you don't even notice him out there. So yeah, I'm actually 100% with that. Send him down to the AHL, give him some time down there, bring him back up. Maybe he'll be motivated.
Not a lot of
Yeah.
time, just a week or two. 2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple
His-
games, 3-4 games.
When you do notice that he's getting a shift, it's like, oh, hey, it's Jay McClement. It's just,
Yeah. Are we killing penalties? He's on the ice. What are we doing?
Right,
You almost got
right.
me, Bill.
Yeah, it's he loves what he's doing, and I think he's just trying to show Berube he's a great guy, right? He's getting the puck and he's just staying along the boards, not cutting to the front of the net enough, and yeah, I don't know, I would love to see him get a shot top 6 before they send him down, but that's
Neighbors.
not Berube style.
Actually, the rumor. I'll leave that for all show if you guys don't mind.
No.
Is it? I put up Zach's comment as Kurt, you're right. For the podcast folks who can't see this visually,
please, Zach, don't ever say that again.
They were talking. I think it was JR mentioned that I think Neighbors was on the first line in practice today, just to see what happens.
Is that right?
I
thought
acted.
first line was Shen O'Reilly and Achari.
Achari in practice today.
I
thought he said it was
that's
Neighbors.
What I read
because they were talking about sending Neighbors down, and then JR mentioned, well, I think that might be something they would do after they give him a shot on the top line to see what happens. Maybe I misheard, but I thought he said that he was on the top line in practice, but I could be wrong.
I will check on that.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I know the
could've
lines.
misheard.
The talk was they had an all veteran first line, at least in practice. Maybe it was yesterday.
I don't like Achari on the
Shen
first line.
O'Reilly, Achari.
No.
Achari's a former 20 goal scorer.
I don't care. I mean, I'd rather give the Neighbors
20 goal scorer.
Yeah.
Several years and 2 teams ago.
Brett Hull's a former
No, it was
80 goal scorer.
It was with Florida. It was 2 years ago.
Did he score
Yeah.
20?
Yes, he was on the top line in Florida.
I did not watch much Florida.
Yeah, it looks like on the
see.
ice today, Shen O'Reilly, Achari,
1920.
Buchnevich, Barbashev, Tarasenko, Neighbors, Thomas, Kyrou, which Neighbors with Thomas and Kyrou, that's pretty much a top line, right?
Yes.
These should be in the NHL.
If they're playing well.
If they're playing well.
Yeah.
The only one there that's playing well is Thomas.
Achari was 3 years ago.
Slobchenko, Brown, and Pitlick.
3 years ago before the
3 years
season.
ago.
He 20 goal scorer. His first year in Florida.
So that was after what a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next season. Yeah.
And I was going to say, that Jesse Boulanger, Zach Boulanger brought up earlier, Josh Levo, right? We're seeing a ton of Tyler Pitlick now. They officially signed him after his PTO, and he's getting rolled out there and getting those fourth line minutes. And I was impressed enough with Levo early in this season. I was hoping to see him get more opportunity, and he's just constantly in the press box. And I would love to see that switch. And definitely Logan Brown. God, I don't know. I quickly switched up my thought on who was going to be my whipping boy and picked him. So I would love to see him out of the lineup pretty quickly too.
I think he's worse than I thought he was going to be. I mean, granted, he's only played 3 games, but before the season started, I was like, I think the ceiling for him is he'll have a few good games and then disappear for a few weeks, and then have a couple of good games and disappear for a few weeks. But he hasn't. I mean, his first game in, he was awful. Second game back, he was much better, but didn't do a whole lot. And he has been -2 in 3 games. No points.
Right. It was a pretty close to 1-for-1 swap moving Sanford for him, except I think Sanford's got more NHL scoring ability.
Yeah, he does.
As he showed against us.
Yeah, right. Which whatever. It's still Sanford. All right, where are we at here? So the Blues have now scored 25-8 in those 5 games in the 5-game losing streak. Only 2 of those 5 teams we've lost to are currently over 500. It's Winnipeg and Edmonton. After 8 games, we sit at 3-5, 19 goals for, 30 goals against. We're 5th in the conference in goals against. And we're dead last in the conference, which is 15th with 19 goals for. Granted, that's partially due to the Blues playing fewer games than every other team, but even with that said, they're having trouble putting the puck in the net lately with only 8 goals in the last 5 games played. So you guys want to talk about some select forwards? We've done that already with a lot of players. We just bounce around. This is all a loose outline for you guys to just look at.
I mean, again, you know, I think let's talk positives because that's a very short conversation. Justin Falk has been great. I'd say even probably still to me our best defenseman, which we'll get to defense later, but in terms of offensive production, he's looked great. Not only scoring goals, but you know, just continues to be one of the best on the team at keeping the puck in the zone, pressuring when needs to pressure, not getting caught. To me, again, best Blues defenseman offensively and defensively on this team so far. And then Braden Shen, the talk came out earlier this year, or I'm sorry, over the summer or just a couple weeks ago, I guess, about how, you know, he had all those injuries last year and was battling and struggling. Now he's 100% healthy. He's going to be rejuvenated this year. I think he looks phenomenal. Keep him on that first line if you can. I like him in the wing, actually, now more. I used to say I liked him at center, but I think he's looked really good on the wing. And yeah, I think those two are probably the best positives coming out of the offense.
I want to give people a big "I told you so" with Falk. I know his first year here, he was god awful. He was terrible, and I was like, just gotta wait. People want him traded. I'm like, I'm gonna pull a Lance to Scott here. I'm gonna just talk about how I was right and everybody else was wrong.
Go ahead. So that's the rest of the show, right?
That is the rest of the show. You're right. Where's that comment again?
All right, I'll just sit back.
Yeah. So there it is again.
Stop it. Take that out of your pocket.
That's gonna be the screenshot tomorrow when we share the show on Twitter. But yeah, but in all fairness, I'm not as I did say the same thing about Krug, and he has not been as good as Falk. So he's got a little bit to go to get to where Falk is. So yeah, I did say I said wait on Krug, you know, like Falk, same thing, you know.
Well, and we talked about that on this show, that maybe it is just a matter of him needing more ice time. A lot of players, I mean, we see it with goalies all the time, right? Some goalies, it's like they need more shots to be better in goal. They need to see the puck more. And maybe it's the same thing with Falk. He just needed more ice time. At that point, he was a number 3 right-handed defenseman. He was playing behind Parayko and Pietrangelo. Now he's clearly better than, well, Parayko on this team. I think even playing better than Pietrangelo is in Vegas because he's getting more ice time.
I think Tarasenko is a positive. I think he's played well. 7 points in the 8 games.
And he hasn't looked lost.
No.
Again, I think with this offense, there's been a lot of players to me. We mentioned Kyrou, but other players, including O'Reilly, who has just looked lost offensively. Right. And Tarasenko is not one of those.
No.
Yeah. O'Reilly is just like it's inexplicable. You know, just how objectively horrible he is this year.
Yeah, shocking. It's very surprising.
Right. And you know, it's you wonder, you know, given his age now, right? You know, is he still keeping up the same heavy training routine? Right? Is he still always the first guy there and in uniform well before everybody else? Does he need to scale that back?
He's 31. So I wouldn't call that old, but
it's not old, but yeah. You have to make adjustments. You know,
I suppose. Well, his workout routine too, when he stays late, you know, shows up early. From everything you've seen, the video they show, it's mostly stick work.
Right.
I mean, right. It's like mostly stick drills. It's not so much like he's not doing burpees on the ice. He's
Right.
Yeah.
or washboards. He's doing
Well, and let's
he's doing
face it
stick
too
work.
that he's pretty much known too as a slow starter at this point in his career. He had a relatively slow start last year. I don't know about I don't know the offensive numbers, but I think we had the same conversation. Like O'Reilly doesn't look like the same player this year. And then as the season went on, and then obviously during the playoff push and into the playoffs, he was one of the best Blues players on the ice night in, night out. So you just got to hope that maybe if he can find that drive a little sooner this year, maybe that helps drive the offense a little bit more because he is the team's leader.
Last season, he had 5 points in the first 5 games, but then went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scoreless in 5. So he was kind of streaky early on, and then was okay after that. So man, the first 5 games he was putting up a point a game. After 5, then he went scoreless for 5 games, and then he was okay. So yeah, a little streaky start there last year.
Yeah, it was I don't know. I again, we talked, I remember the model, as much as we like to bitch about the Athletics
Ooh.
models, about O'Reilly, like the talk was like you need to have this number 1 center who can do this and that and this and that, and the Blues don't have it. And I remember us talking like wait until playoffs and that becomes O'Reilly.
Right.
And I think it's the same thing here. If we can get just a little better play from O'Reilly, I think that really helps change the dynamic of this team.
So he's got 1 goal, no assists in 8 games played, and it's a -11.
That's right.
That's
the -11 is the part that is just hard to fathom.
Right.
He's a former Selke Trophy winner, right? Or
he gets Selke votes every year.
Should have won, right?
He gets Selke votes every year.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Perron's no longer here, so I mean that they had great chemistry. Maybe that plays into it a little bit. I don't know. Are you worried about O'Reilly moving forward? I'm not. I think he's going to pick it up and start putting the points on the board. But
if there's anybody on this team who can self-correct, it's him.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think.
Well, and plus I heard that he's using kind of a new stick blade this year. He's still got the hook. He's still got the hook at the end, but I think he's using a little bit more flatter blade. I'm not saying that completely changes everything for him, but in terms of offensive ability, maybe he's just slightly missing his passes, his shots, and he'll correct that over time.
More flatter blade, you say?
A more flatter blade, yes. Yes, you can tell. I have an English degree, folks.
He has a more flatter blade this year.
Jeff speaks English.
The scientific description.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
That's impossible.
No, and yeah, I think what Bill said, -11 on the season for Ryan fucking O'Reilly. I mean, you look at that with like a Patrice Bergeron or any of those, Ryan Kessler back in the day. They're a minus player at all. It raises an eyebrow, but a -11, holy shit.
Yeah, and Kairu's at -13, so that's 2 key guys on this team. -11,
you asked
-13.
if we're concerned about O'Reilly. I'm actually not. Like Bill said, I think he's the type of guy that can kind of self-correct, and I think he will be fine. And clearly a good leader for this team over time. He's proven that. The only player, and I know that I'm kind of feeding into a lot of the troll fan base, the only player that I'm still kind of concerned about is Jordan Kyrou. Just because
of last season.
He has been rough the last, I mean, not calendar year, but let's say
last
8
50
months,
games?
7
last 50
months.
Games?
Yeah.
Well,
bad.
Playoffs, he had a decent playoff. He had a few games in the playoffs where he scored some goals.
Right.
Playoffs were better for him last season, a lot better. He came out of it.
Yeah. But we also, the big talking point for us from Kyrou in the playoffs last year was him just getting, completely walked by Nathan McKinnon on what everybody thought was a series clinching goal. Right. And it's like, we said at the time, right? If I'm the coaching staff, I send that clip to him every day during the off season and say, this is your motivation. If
Yeah.
you think that this is acceptable, you don't belong here. And if they did that, he didn't watch the video at all. But
See, I think Barbashev, for example, I think he's one of those guys who had a great year production-wise last year. A little surprising, right?
right,
And I think so, and that helped with the Blues' depth being so great last season. And so I think he was one of the people to kind of watch this season to see, if okay, well, let's see how he does, and if he can have a similar season. I don't think many people thought he would have the same kind of season as he did last year because he shot like, what was it, like 30%, 20
Yeah, it was
something. It was
ridiculous.
really high, really high. It was, I mean, not
He
that
was
high, but
only shooting when he had a really good opportunity.
yeah, but that was a lot of the team though too.
Yeah.
Which we talk about Dom's model and saying, wow, their shooting percentage is so high. Well, yeah, it's by design. They choose quality over quantity. And so they're obviously not going to get as many shots, but the shots they are getting, if they're going by the plan, are higher quality scoring chances. So they should score at a higher clip using that model. So, which again, we've talked about that, but Dom's model doesn't give the Blues credit for the plan actually working that they were, using.
right. Well, I
They
mean,
get punished for it.
Right.
I'm right. When it doesn't work, and this year it hasn't worked because nobody can handle the puck.
That's the thing.
That seems to be the one theme with the forwards. Once they get set up in the offensive zone, it's the percentages are much lower in terms of executing and not just saying scoring, but actually getting shots on goal. There's so many fumbled pucks. It's you have to wonder, what did something change? Did everybody decide to go to a different stick model, or is the ice just that awful this year?
It's funny. I had
Because we can't give Dom credit, right?
no. Well,
No,
here's the thing:
no.
is that I see people posting the advanced stats, the expected goals for, right, which is based on your number of shots and your high danger scoring chances, all that crap. So the expected goals for the Blues, they're not. It's I think it's whatever. It's going down. So, and they're saying, aha, see, the model was correct in that the Blues overachieved last season, and now they're coming back down to earth. I disagree completely, and this is part of the problem with advanced stats because the Blues aren't playing the same way they did last year. If that model were accurate, and they're saying, and if what they're saying is true, and that the model was correct all along, and it's just correcting back to the norm right now, then the Blues would be getting the chances and just not scoring.
Right.
They're and they'd be playing the same more or less and just not putting the puck in the net. That's not true at all. They look like ass on the ice these last 5 games, but they're just not playing well. They look like a completely different team. So you can't compare last year's Blues team and the expected goals for to this year's Blues team and the expected goals for, because they're playing like a completely different team.
Well,
they're not
and I'll
getting the
add
same chances.
the Edmonton game, especially the one they lost, the second game, the one at home. I think Berube even called it out in the presser afterward that they had like 4 wide open nets. They just flat out shot wide. Like, again, they lose that game 3-1. They should have won 4-2.
Was that the game Walker? Was that the game Walker?
Yes, Walker
missed?
had a wide open net.
Yeah,
and just
wide
fucking shot it wide. And I think there was
Ooh.
one. I want to say it was Thomas or Kyrou. One of them had a pass across wide open net. Skinner did not read it, and they just airmailed it. And it was just they put those pucks in the net. They win that game, no doubt. But they're shooting wide. They're missing their chances. They're overthinking it, overhandling. And for the Blues to say that about the Blues is saying a lot, because they overhandle a lot. But like you said, last season they were overhandling, but still putting the puck in the net. Right now they're overhandling and just not getting a good shot on.
Well, they had a puck possession game last year. They were cycling really well. Thomas would drive. He would control the offensive zone last season. He's been better as the season's gone along this season. I think he had a bad start, but he's still not up to last season's how he played last season. Last season he was dominant. It was unreal. He hasn't looked that way this season quite yet, but part of that's probably his teammates just like they're fucking a football out there with him, so they're not helping him out any.
I knew you were going to say that at some point tonight.
Did you?
Yeah, right. No, I think Robert Thomas has been fine. I think there's been a couple opportunities that he's had to maybe put the puck in the net, but he's let's face it, he's a setup guy first and foremost. He can put the puck in the net. He proved that last year, but he's just not getting the support that he needs out there. And I've been one to criticize Robert Thomas over the years. Especially last year, I thought he disappeared the playoffs, but I think this year I'm okay with his play. I think if he keeps playing the same way and his teammates correct themselves, he's going to be putting up plenty of points. So I actually have no problem with Robert Thomas right now either.
I the first couple of games, I think he was kind of invisible, but like I said, he's gotten better.
He was putting up points though, which is funny.
I said that. I was like, he was getting, but you know what? They were secondary. I mean, they were good. I mean, he dug pucks out in the corner, threw them in front, and then another pass and they score. And he made some. I'm not saying he didn't make good plays, but I mean, last season he'd get the puck and he would have it up and down the boards, cutting back around the goal, out the other side. He was creating lanes, making whole defenses rotate and shift based on him. And creating lanes out of nothing and finding people that shouldn't have been found. And I don't think I like his play this season, but he's not quite at last season's play.
No.
And I'm impressed. So I think he's
got
a little bit to go. But
I thought he was a guy that, unlike Kyrou, was the exact opposite of Kyrou. I thought he, like O'Reilly does, picked up his play throughout the year. It wasn't until playoffs I thought he started kind of disappearing. But down the stretch last year, yeah, he was playing some phenomenal hockey.
So we got Buchnevich, who he was hurt for 5 of the 8 games so far. So he has 2 points in 3 games as a +1. I think he gets a pass. And any criticism right now, he's played 3 games. I think he's looked okay. Not too. I'm not too worried about him. And him being out, that's why I wasn't too upset about the Blues' losses when he was out. Him and Saad. I'm like, that's 2. Significant guys in your lineup. I mean, you're 3-0 with Saad, you're 0-5 without him. Not that Saad has put up any points, but teams play well for certain players being in the lineup for whatever reason.
Slot in where they need to be better when Saad's in the lineup.
Sure. Yeah, you don't have Brown playing on the third line.
Right.
With Saad in the lineup. So that's
I don't have Brown in the lineup with Saad in the lineup.
You would hope.
That right isn't that the stat line though? Saad went out after game 3, was it?
And he played 3 games. Yeah.
That's when Brown came in. And right. So it's to your point, Saad's the key to this team, as you have in the outline.
Right?
I
mean, who knows, right? He's the key to this team.
Maybe it's that Logan Brown's the key to the team in the wrong way.
The wrong direction.
I'm sticking with that.
What can Brown do for you? Nothing.
You mentioned Buchnevich. I want to just mention that I think, again, if they stick with the lines we saw in practice, he's with Barbashev and Tarasenko. I think Buchnevich has been fine. Again, good penalty killer as well. I think we mentioned Tarasenko's playing fine. You put those 2 back together, maybe you get Barbashev moving in the right direction with those 2 on his line again, because we haven't seen that yet this year. We saw Thomas in the middle there between those 2. I think you get that Russian line back together. Maybe we'll see some magic tomorrow night.
We will look at the defense and goaltending in our State of the Blues Union show after this word from our new sponsor, Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage.
A magical 2019 playoff run, I was in the midst of buying my current home. Every time I spoke with my realtor, obviously, home buying was the discussion. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about what was destined to happen for our St. Louis hockey team. If only there were a realtor who could have walked me through the process, held my hand when needed, but was there to be a sounding board when I wanted to complain about a certain hand pass goal. Let realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage be that for you. He'll have your needs top of mind mind as he skates you through the home buying or selling process, dangling you past any obstacles and assisting on all your home goals. Check out strikewithmike.com for more information or give him a call directly at 314-753-4060. That's Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage at strikewithmike.com, and that number again is 314-753-4060. Don't forget to tell Mike that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
So, Mike with Real Brokerage, Real Estate, Realtor, great Realtor here in the St. Louis area. Welcome aboard, Mike. Love having you. I've actually, Buckeye 14. Yes, he's watching. Buckeye 14 in the chat. Oh, my God. Hand pass in the ad, he says. Yes. For those that don't know, Buckeye 14 from Tealtown, USA.
That's a trigger topic with those guys. I love it. So much fun.
Oh man, I'm so glad Buckeye 14's listening. We love you, Eric.
Hey, Eric. Eric. I watched your Wheel of Fortune show on Pluto TV. Good job. Okay, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Thanks for that. No, Mike, welcome aboard, Mike. Welcome to the Let's Go Blues Radio family. Love having you. I've played hockey with Mike for a long time. It's been a couple years since we played together, but we used to play together on an old team called the Body Snatchers, which is one of my favorite teams I've ever played on. Mike knows his stuff. He's actually a police officer as well, so he does provide some assistance to first responders as well, if you're interested in using him as your realtor. So keep that in mind. But yeah, give Mike a call, strikewithmike.com. Big Blues fan. As I said last week, he said, I can't remember the exact quote, but he said, where else can you have somebody help you with the buying or selling process and also tell you about Vladimir Chebuturkin's Blues career? Which I was like, you, sir, belong on this show. So
there's not much to tell. It's a short conversation.
It was about 8 games, right?
yeah, but give or take. Strikewithmike.com. That's a slick URL. That's just that you don't forget that one.
Yeah. No, you don't forget it. So, yeah, again, if you're looking to buy or sell in the St. Louis area, strikewithmike.com.
Welcome aboard. Buckeye 14 says, haha, thanks. If you need pointers on getting on Wheel of Fortune, you know where to find me, LOL. I do enjoy Wheel of Fortune.
If you need pointers on how to get on Kurt Price, reach out to me.
And you will get nowhere. It's a scam, guys. It's a scam to get you to call Jeff to come over and hang out in his hot tub. That's what it is.
I just want people to come over. I'm so lonely.
That's all it is. But yeah, I love Wheel of Fortune. I think it's one of those things though, where if I were to be on the show, I'd feel like, man, I'm so much better playing this game at home than I am in front of an audience. It's probably a whole different ball of wax. So good job, Eric. And Eric, on the episode of Wheel of Fortune, he won the whole thing. He won the grand prize.
He actually owns Let's Go Blues Radio. That's what he did with his money.
And he won 2 trips too, something like that. He did all right.
Did he go to the Showcase Showdown?
Yeah, spun the wheel. Yeah, got $1,000 on the second spin. Yeah, hit the dollar.
Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, he was so good at Wheel of Fortune that he won the Price is Right.
Yeah, he got the exact bid, and they had to. Yeah, you ever see that documentary on the Price is Right by the guy that got the exact bid? I think it's called Exact Bid. The documentary.
Yeah, isn't he? He's the guy that like basically has a formula for winning game shows, right?
I don't know if that's him. There's 2 guys. There's the guy that was on Pressure Luck, and then there was the guy that was on Wheel of Fortune who guessed. He just knew all the prices of everything. He kept like a spreadsheet.
Price is Right, you mean? Yeah.
Sorry, Price is Right. Yeah, the guy just kept the spreadsheet of all the prices, and he knew what everything was, and they didn't change the prices on stuff. So then they'd rotate the same items out. So he just memorized where all the prices were, and he got the stuff exact. It's crazy. Anyway, enough game show talk. The Blues defense, which has been an issue, a topic of conversation.
Which is a gong show, by the way.
A gong show, a hockey term.
Nice segue. I like it.
Thank you. Been doing this a long time, Bill.
Yeah. Where's our producer with the Gong Show theme?
He went to bed.
He went to bed.
He's a bitch.
He had one beer. He's tired.
It's past his bedtime.
One beer knocked him out. It was a seltzer. The a White Claw.
I can't legally talk about that.
White Claws are barely legal. It's like Boone's Farm, right? How much alcohol is in a white seltzer? Is there a lot?
I
don't know.
actually think it's a fair amount.
Is it? Okay, maybe. Okay. I'm thinking Boone's Farm. Everyone's first wine. What was it, Snowberry Hill or something like that? Anyway, the defense for the Blues, the game against the Kings on Monday was maybe, in my opinion, the worst game I've seen the Blues defense play in years since the
Been a
Mike.
while.
Yeah, it's been terrible since Mike.
Since the Mike Kitchen era.
Since
Is
Kitchen.
that what you're going for?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably pretty much. So
I don't know.
many
They
missed
had
assignments.
some pretty bad defensive games under Andy Murray. I don't know if you guys remember those years.
Oh yeah, well, and it was interesting. You know, things are going bad when the coach is throwing a fit behind the scenes about Perron's white skates.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, that's a problem. It's like, who gives a fuck? You know, coach the team. Yep. Jesus. So many missed assignments. Guys wide open, easy backdoor tap ins, time after time. It's the same damn thing. It's like, how do you not see that coming? I mean, it's like Lou Gehrig getting Lou Gehrig's disease. You had to see it coming.
One of the best Dennis Leary lines.
Now, I said this after the Montreal game, which it was exemplified way more in the Kings game, that this is how you shorten goalies' careers. And that's you make a goalie go side to side in his crease, right across with the puck going right across the slot. You make him do that 10 times a game, like Binnington and Greiss have had to do. You're going to end their careers a lot sooner than they'd like, because that's how you pull a groin. That's how you start having issues down there. And for Jordan Binnington to be able to stop every
it's called the crotch area, Jeff. The crotch area.
Well, I was
you can say the crotch,
talking.
yeah.
I wasn't just talking about the crotch. I was talking about the knees.
Down there. Okay. You sound like a 12-year-old kid.
Okay, fine. Crotch,
when you have issues
knees,
down there,
whatever.
that area.
Shut up.
In wrestling, it was referred to as the midsection.
The midsection, right.
Midsection. There you go.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying is that, like, you start making your goalie make those kinds of saves consistently, and even if they don't make the saves, they're still trying to push across and get there. You're going to have a lot of medical issues. And we've been seeing that. I thought Husso had to do that a lot last year. We're seeing even more this year with Binnington and Greiss. And it's a huge issue. If I'm Jordan Binnington, I'm saying, trade me right fucking now. I don't want to play behind this defense anymore, because I want to be able to play until I'm at least 35. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I thought that going back to the Nashville game, right? I thought Nashville showed that they had the book on Greiss, right? Older goalie, big guy, not good laterally, and they got the puck at either post and made a move, and they scored a ton of goals. And I think Montreal watched the tape of that game and said, doesn't matter who's in, the Blues defense couldn't defend that. Let's try it.
No.
And it worked. And LA's like, us too. And it's been crazy. Like,
what's weird is that
they're getting exploited so badly.
They can defend it. They're just sticks and lanes, right? I mean, just read the play.
Sticks and lanes, tying up sticks, even.
Oh, I mean, or just
let the
situational awareness.
Let the
situational awareness is a thing.
Lift the stick.
Situational awareness is a thing. You're on D, head on a swivel, like Panger says too much, right? Head on a swivel. Yeah. It's fucking too much. But anyway, it's true. You guys, like there was a play, Letty and Parayko shifting side to side. Defensemen do this. When the puck, it goes from one corner to the next, or from one side to the other, the defenseman shifts. So the defenseman nearest the corner with the puck kind of shifts over, and the other defenseman kind of shifts to the middle. And then if the puck goes the other corner, then the defenseman shift over sides, with each other, so that the one defenseman goes in front and the other defenseman goes in the corner. You shift back and forth. There was a play where the play shifted, and one defenseman read it, the other one didn't, and both were in the corner.
Right. That was
Yep.
that
That
goes
was
back
Letty
to
and
the
Parayko.
Winnipeg game.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
that
And
was
this
that
is
was
generalized
the
on the
third
whole
period of
season.
Winnipeg game.
Yeah.
Right?
It was bad. It was just
Yeah.
it was bad. It was just lost coverage and not paying attention to situational awareness in defense has been a problem in this season. And
Listen,
more than that, actually.
this team is locked in defensively, unfortunately, for the
Mhm.
next 5-6 years. It's unfortunate. I don't like this defense. I've said this for 2 years. Something big needed to change. Nothing has changed. So the way that I see it, if you're locked into this defense, and this is what we're seeing 9 games into the season, or 8 games, whatever it is, and it's awful. It is awful. And I thought last year was already awful. Now it's getting even worse. I do think this is where Doug Armstrong, I know we'll talk about his presser in a minute. I think this is where he needs to make a change. And I hate to say it because I hate to pit it on one guy. Yes, you can.
On defense?
You can fire your defensive coach.
Oh,
Mike Van Ryn.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's all you can do at this point. You fire your defensive coach and you say, because I didn't like this defense. Even the cup year, I thought they don't play very well together. And maybe this is just a point where you say, okay, we got to move on from Mike Van Ryn, bring somebody else in, see if we can get a new voice in there and maybe even a new style, a new system that will work with the type of defenseman we have.
Yeah, I like that idea, actually, because and the reason why when we did, we talked about in the preseason show, the season preview show, about how I was not as down on the defense as other people, and you guys disagreed, and you were.
And I think Bill and I were right.
Well,
right, Bill?
Here's the deal. And the reason I'm going to explain why I said that.
Of course, we were right.
Well, you've been right. You've been right so far. Sure, absolutely. But I think the reason why I said that was because individually, this defense is on paper is very, very good individually, but for whatever reason, together, it's just not working together. Like Justin Falk is, well, he's elite. It doesn't matter. Krug is a very good defenseman, but is not playing well on this team. Parayko has all the skill in the world and has lapses that are strange. Nick Letty, I think, has been fine for the most part.
He had a real rough game the other game.
Yeah, well, and again,
I
the
think
whole
he
team
was
has,
overcompensating. I thought he was trying to make up for Parayko not thinking on the ice at all.
Yeah, that's true.
See, I like Mikko. I like Mikko a lot. I think Mikko should get more time.
I didn't like Mikkola getting scratched, honestly.
Right. And Hallie Rosen, he was bad. The fourth goal when he's like doing a pirouette in his own crease.
The puck right behind him.
Yeah. Oh, God,
I'm fine with him playing Rosen just because, I mean, you're losing games. Let's get somebody else in there. Let's have a new face. But I think Mikkola was the wrong guy to scratch for that.
I agree. I like Mikkola, generally speaking.
We said that in our season preview show, right? That he's the guy that's going to sit when they're rotating and they're not playing 7 defensemen. And when we thought Perunovic, it was before Perunovic was injured, right? We thought Mikkola was the guy that was going to sit more often than not. And I mean, I think, at that point, Berube setting the lineup and, Van Ryn's got to have input on who should be in, who should be out from the defense. But that call was pretty bad.
I think you look at it, and because they said, well, we got to get Rosen in there. He's a better puck mover than Mikkola. And I'm like, okay, on paper, yeah, you're right. Like, you look at everything before the season, you have your assessments of players. I look at it and I say, this season, Mikkola has moved the puck better than Parayko and Krug.
Oh,
so
easily,
like, I'm not taking him out for that reason.
I think Mikkola does a fine job of moving the puck. I think he actually pinches better than most of our defensemen.
He's got great reads.
Yeah.
right? And nobody else on the D this year has, besides Falk, who, Kurt's, we'll go with Kurt's word, is elite this year. At
Yeah, I
least
mean,
with this crew, he is the top tier guy, right? But yeah, I thought Mikkola has demonstrated the best reads and knows when to pinch at the right time.
the funny thing is the defense is contributing offensively, or at least Falk is. Falk has 9 points, and the rest of the D has 7 points. So 16 points in 8 games for the D.
So Krug has what, 3 points, right?
Yeah, he does.
Which is about where I expect him, but I also expect him to play a lot better defensively and honestly even more physical than we've seen.
Yeah, I mean he's a smaller guy, but he does play physical for a small guy. So you like to see that, but you haven't seen a whole lot of it. You haven't seen, you know what? I mean, to be honest, you could say, yeah, every time I criticize a player on this team, I'm thinking, well, yeah, but you could criticize, 10 other guys on the team for the same thing, because that's how you lose 5 in a row. When you don't lose 5 in a row because a few guys aren't playing well, you lose 5 in a row because most of the team is just not playing well, not playing good hockey.
I'm gonna real quick just read Zach. What do we agree his name is? Boulanger. Boulanger. Let's just say that.
Bollinger.
Boulanger.
He said I was right, but I said like all 3 versions of it.
Yeah. He says, honestly, he's talking about Tyler Tucker in Springfield is doing a lot better than last year. A lot of improvements. Maybe call him up. I actually am 100% okay with, obviously, you got to play waivers and all that, but Rosen is a guy I'm pretty sure doesn't have to clear waivers. You can just send him down. I say send him down, bring up a kid, give a kid a shot. I think Tyler Tucker is a guy that I've been high on for a couple of years. I've seen a couple of his games. Haven't seen 8 hours of tape on him on YouTube, right?
Actually, the only guy who is waivers exempt on the roster right now is Neighbors.
Say Logan Brown.
Are you serious? Neighbors is the only waiver exempt player on the roster,
according to Cap Friendly.
Whew.
That's
well,
painful.
right now, nobody is taking a Blues defenseman, so I'd say just go ahead and send down whoever you want.
Then the thing with that is that if you take Rosen, you have to, as a team, if you claim Rosen, if you sent down, you have to put him on your active roster,
right?
And then waive somebody else off your active roster. So that's
right.
A team may not want to give up somebody off their active roster.
I don't think that's an issue. I would say Mikkola, I'm a little more concerned about with losing in waivers. I wouldn't do that. But Rosen,
no way, not a chance.
No, I wouldn't. But Rosen, I think you move him down. Maybe you call up a Tyler Tucker. Maybe you call up a Matt Kessel. Right. Give that kid a shot. I would love to see a big move like that. And even if the kid only plays 6 minutes, Tucker or Kessel, I would love to say, again, it's a statement from the Blues front office, from the coaching, saying, you guys ain't cutting it. We got to go down to our AHL team and see if we can find somebody who will. And at the very least, not only are you getting a motivated player to come up and play in the NHL, you're sending a message to the rest of the defense.
Krug did leave practice, or after the game the other day, had a shoulder injury. But he was practicing today. So I think speculation was that he was going to play tomorrow. So we shall see about that. I mean, some people would like to trade Krug tomorrow, but I think if he is out, that's a problem. So
I just don't think you can move any of these guys right now.
Well, I short of somebody waiving the no trade clause, that's what you'd have to have somebody do.
Yes, but I'm saying even if they do, you're not getting shit for these players, these defensemen. Nobody's taking these guys right now. They look awful.
And here's the thing: if you trade, say Krug says, "Okay, you can trade me," and they trade him, what are they going to get? You're not going to get a better defenseman in return.
No,
right?
Unless it's a huge package. Like if it's like we're going to trade.
I don't care about his package. I'm just talking about his playing ability.
God damn it! I hate you. No, I mean, if the Blues are like, hey, we'll trade you Krug and our next 2 first-rounders, maybe you get a better defenseman. But I just don't see the Blues making a move like that right now.
I don't either, just because they can't. Like you said, it's hard to they don't have any cap room right now to take on more. They can't, like, if somebody wants to get rid of a pretty good defenseman that's just making way too much, like, 10 mil. They can't take that on. They can't do that. So that's not an option, because sometimes you can get better by doing that. You can take on a guy who's maybe struggling, that was a really good player and is just making too much money. They want to dump him, and you could trade a Krug for him, maybe, because maybe it makes a few million more than Krug. I don't know, but you can't. We have no cap space.
Man, this is where I go back to last trade deadline, and I look at a Josh Manson who went for what, draft picks, and he was great for Colorado down the stretch. I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda, I know, but I'm just saying there was some potential if there would have been a trade before the deadline, before the Blues had to go get. Not saying Nick Leddy's been bad, because he hasn't been. He had one bad game, but man, I just feel like, again, this defense, it needed a little bit of a facelift, and we just haven't seen shit for 2 years.
I actually, and it's something I hadn't considered. I love your idea to fire Van Ryn. I think that is the. I agree with you. That is really your best and really only option right now.
Right.
If you want to actually try and do something that could actually make a difference.
Yeah,
you need another philosophy in there.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's clear that that Armstrong is not going to move Berube out at this point after that presser, right? His shot was at the players, right? Maybe it's the team makeup, right? But the coaching staff below Berube, they're definitely not going to move McTavish. I think if this team just keeps going down and down and down, McTavish is the guy that takes over, right? They've been very, very high on what a great hockey guy he is and what a great analytical mind he is and the different dimension he's brought. But yeah, haven't heard any praise for Van Ryn this year, which
I think it's the right. I think it's the right move, and I look at it and say, what's the lowest cost basically that you can do to make a huge change on the defense, and to me, it's just fire an assistant coach, and I think that sends a message too that says, hey, we have to figure this out. This is not just we wait and see and you guys will figure it out. We got to start winning games. We got to start getting back into the mix of being a top team in the Western Conference. And right now, you guys ain't cutting it. So let's make this move. And if this doesn't work, it's going to start being you guys.
So goaltending was a topic of discussion. Bennington was put up. It was put up some great numbers to start the season. Had like a 9.4, 9.5 save percentage, something like that after his first 2-3 games. He was playing really well. But his numbers have taken a huge hit with the way the team has played in front of him. His past few starts, and Rutherford shared some of Armstrong's press conference comments. He had the press conference yesterday on Tuesday. And Rutherford said, Army press conference, the Berube is not the problem. The team is not competing. They're trying to figure out why. The goalies and the fourth line have been good, but the rest of the lineup not up to par, which is putting it mildly, not up to par.
And again, I'll add that I was actually shocked when Walker got scratched. I thought, despite the empty net he missed against Edmonton, I thought he's been one of the better, more consistent players this year.
I thought he put forth a nice, consistent effort on the ice. I thought it was not just it was a quality effort. I don't think any of the players are not trying. But it's when you're giving a quality effort versus an effort that's just not getting that done. There's a difference. So,
and I hate to say this because I love the player, and maybe he's still trying to work through the issue he had over the summer, but I'm starting to wonder, man, if Alexei Toropchenko needs to take a couple games off too. I don't think he's looked he was great last year. He's been very subpar to open this year for me.
He just, I'll notice him every once in a while. It's a big thing with me. If you like the fourth line, they're typically not going to produce a lot offensively. But you want to notice them out there. You want to notice them throwing the weight around, hustling on the play, stuff like that. And it's just like, too much of the fourth line. I mean, actually, the fourth line, he said he was. Army said that the fourth line's been good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like you said, Jeff, I think Toropchenko could have been better. Walker's been good, I think. But also Rutherford said, go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say Walker's been good, but he got benched for missing an open net, right? He didn't dress the other night. So
pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, what about the other 3 players that missed the open nets?
Yeah.
Armstrong also said he has faith in the group to play better, but if not, could be a roster issue. And the eye test will tell him if change is needed. And when Armstrong said that it could be a roster issue, he hinted at, if things don't change, eventually there's going to be a retool or a rebuild or whatever. And I'm thinking, when I heard that, I'm thinking, how the hell are you going to do that? How are you going to rebuild this lineup? How are you going to me, a rebuild is unloading some big contracts that you don't think are going to fit into the future plans anymore, and you replace them with younger, players, new direction. How are they going to move any of the higher priced players on the veterans on this team? They all have no trade clauses, all of them, and they're long, except for O'Reilly, whose contract is up, and except for Tarasenko, whose contract is up. And O'Reilly does not have a no trade clause, but Tarasenko does right now.
Right. I think O'Reilly would be the guy that moves. Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Somebody. Right. And maybe the writing was on the wall when we didn't bring Perron back. Right. And it's kind of like maybe the pressure's on him to show that he was more than just a tandem guy, but he's not showing it at this point. But yeah, he has no trade, no trade protection, end of his contract, and he Conn Smythe winner, Selke finalist all the time. Somebody would take him.
Yeah. O'Reilly for Jonathan Taves, straight up.
No,
I'm kidding. I know, I'm kidding.
No, but somebody will take Taves at the deadline. Somebody will take. No, they won't. Deadline. Yes, they will.
Nope.
Yes, they will. Why would they not? He's a veteran. Somebody will
because
take.
He's awful.
He's a veteran leader for the playoffs. Some team will take him for the locker room alone.
He is one of the worst. He is one of the worst skaters in the NHL.
Some teams will take him for the locker room presence alone.
No.
Yes.
I hope GMs are smarter than that.
What do you want to bet? You want to bet something?
The locker room presence. The guy's a fucking whiner. All he does is complain.
You want to bet? What do you want to bet? I'll bet you a beer.
Do you really want to bet?
I'll bet you a beer.
I'll bet you more than a beer. I'll bet you.
That's like it's stupid. I'll get a beer. I'll bet you a Four Hands beer upstairs.
Oh, okay. And, I was going to say, because make sure you get more than a Bud Light Orange out of this.
Yeah, right. All right, I'll bet you a Four Hands beer.
Four Hands beer upstairs. And
even though when we go to Four Hands, we always buy each other beer anyway.
Yeah, and I'll let you beat me at skee ball.
Oh, you'll let me. Okay.
Yeah.
Deal.
All right. So, and what was great about this tweet by Rutherford that kind of went down the list of giving the general idea of what Armstrong covered in his press conference was that Wyshynski inserted himself into the conversation. Greg Wyshynski, the puck daddy over at ESPN, and he just said, sorry, goalies what now? In response to Armstrong's saying that the goalies have been good. And he shared advanced stats with the goals saved above expected. And it's not a good stat.
It's not good.
No, it's not good. But, like I said, and you want to comment on this, Jeff? Because you and Wyshynski went back and forth about this.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Basically, I just said, hey, man, I get it. You're a national guy. You can't watch every game that's played in the NHL. But how about you listen to the guy who's actually watching every game with a fine-tooth comb and paying attention to everything that's happening on the ice? And he responded and was like, oh, you mean the guy that's locked into a goalie's contract that, basically saying it was a bad contract and he's locked in and he has to support him. And my only response back was he's also throwing his defenseman who he has also locked into long-term contracts.
Exactly.
He's also throwing them under the bus right now. So and he has been critical of Binnington in the past. It's not like he's Jordan Binnington is the end-all be-all of this team, and without him, they don't even win games.
No, he said in the past, yeah, we expect our goalie to be better. And when Binnington wasn't playing well. So this isn't just a guy a GM defending his guy. This is him literally saying, yeah, the goaltending, to me, at least he's saying, has been maybe not great, but good enough to win games. And they can't win games because the defense is allowing every single opportunity possible. You can't expect your goalie to make every damn save, especially when they're all backdoor plays.
I just, when I saw the comment and he just chimed in with advanced stats, and it's like my first thought was the balls on this guy. I mean, I know he's a hockey guy, but he's not watching the Blues play. Maybe he's seen a game play them play a game this year. Maybe he doesn't watch them play. He might see highlights. He's not watching and analyzing replays of death from different angles to see who's to blame on and why a puck went in. He's not doing that shit. He's using advanced stats like every other. I think advanced stats are a godsend to national media guys who can't watch every game or can't be bothered to watch as much hockey as they should to comment on it like they do, because they can use these advanced stats to act like they know what they're talking about. Because these advanced stats are supposed to more accurately analyze players, and some stats may do that. You know, and I love advanced stats as an anecdote to a conversation. When you're watching a game or discussing a game you watch with somebody, or we're breaking down a game here, we'll throw in advanced stats every once in a while when we're talking about the show. But to not watch the games and to use advanced stats to say that somebody else who analyzes the games of this team with a fine-tooth comb is wrong. I was like, who the fuck are you? You know,
well, and that's why I even called it out. I'm like, hey man, why don't you look at some Blues media, guys who are unbiased and watching the games. Like every single guy, Strickland, Rutherford, Korak, all these guys, by the way, all friends of the show.
This show,
this show,
or any show,
and us, and Blues Hockey Podcast. I know they've harped on it. You know, I mean, I'm just saying, there is plenty of options for you before you just start spouting your mouth off and just saying, "Oh, well, advanced stats say they're terrible." Why don't you actually do a little research? And this is the problem, I guess, with social media is before you say that, do a little research into the people who are watching the games. And maybe, I guarantee over the years, he's got trusted contacts with the Blues, and just say, maybe shoot a text out to Rutherford. Hey, before I tweet this out, what do you think? You know, and Rutherford's going to tell him like it is. Hey, the Blues goaltending's been fine. The defense is dog shit. Do a little research before you just come out, and then to still have the dukes up when people respond and they're like,
I know,
dude, watch one game and tell us you think the same thing, and still, oh well, you know, advanced stats say this, pow, and it's just like, dude, you're not watching the games. Come on, you can't defend that.
I don't care what stat it is. It's not, if you're watching a game in detail and you know what to look for, you're a seasoned hockey fan, you know the game, you know what to look for when goals go in, who's to blame, if a goalie should have had this puck, yada yada. You know what you're looking for, and the eye test is going to supersede every single advanced stat you throw out there. And there's not a single advanced stat that is going to say, nope, you're wrong because you saw it one way, but this stat says the other. That's bullshit. I had a conversation with a guy on Twitter who was adamant that because I didn't watch every single NHL game of every single NHL team, that my eye test could not be trusted, because I haven't seen all the other goalies play. So I don't know how good our goaltending is compared to the rest of the teams. And I'm like, I'm not fucking comparing our goaltending to any other team. I'm just telling you that our goaltending has been fine. Generally speaking, overall, it's been fine.
Good goaltending is good goaltending. Bad goaltending is bad goaltending.
Yeah.
You don't need to compare that.
It was weird. I'm like, and it kept going back to that. And there were more people, and people were liking it, and people were agreeing with him. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I mean, I know how to analyze a hockey game. I've been
I
doing
hate
this
to
for
say it,
my whole
man.
life.
And we're sitting here talking about goaltending, and Bill is just sitting here quietly, the goaltender in the group. But I'll just say this one last thing, because I know Bill probably has something to say, is that, like, it's, to me, it's the bias against Jordan Binnington.
Oh, a lot of it
I
is.
hate to
Sure.
say that, but so much of it is Jordan Binnington's an asshole and a crybaby, and therefore any chance I get to shit on Jordan Binnington, I'm going to do it. And that's because I mean, when we used to defend, yes, there were times, folks, that we did defend Jake Allen in social media, and we would get a little bit of response back. With Jordan Binnington, it is like 300% that. It is, oh no, your goalie's terrible. Just admit it. And it's, no, he's actually playing fine.
Which game was he? Was it the Montreal game he got pulled? Or was it the LA game?
It was the LA game.
Okay,
LA,
the LA game. So when he got pulled, you saw that he had words with the LA bench.
Yeah.
When he was pulled, and it was funny because there were comments, of course, right? About, oh, look at that, he's an asshole, having words. I'm like, I guarantee you, this is exactly what happened. He skates by their bench to go to his bench. He gets chirped.
Yep.
And he chirps back. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened.
That is what happened.
If you know hockey, you're chirping a goalie as he skates by your bench when he gets pulled. You're chirping him.
There's one.
That's what you do.
There's
and
one
he didn't take
angle
it.
that I saw.
He didn't take it, and I'm like, that is just the way Binnington is. He's going to fire it right back. So why does Binnington get all this shit for chirping back? Just, I guess, because it's visual. You can see that he's reacting to it. Right. He had a few moments in his career with the Blues where it's like, what the fuck you doing, dude? I mean, come on, settle down.
Right.
But the vast majority of the stuff he does is the same thing that every other goalie does.
Yep.
There
was one angle I saw where he was skating by. He was just had his head down, wasn't doing anything. And you saw one mouth move on the Kings bench. I don't know who it was, but I saw one guy say something. And that's when he shot his head over and started saying something. And I'm like, clearly, whatever that guy said, he was chirping Binnington. And it's like, so what? He's just supposed to take it and go off? That's not the kind of guy he is.
Maybe he should, but I'm like, I was the kind of player that would just chirp with people. So what am I? I mean, come on, that's chirping's hockey. That's what you do, man. I mean, that's what everybody does.
Right. He chirped back. He didn't stop and throw a blocker punch at the guy. Right. He's not going to take it. He's going to skate off. He's had a shit night. Not his fault. And, if that's me, I'm probably screaming something at the guy. But, I thought that was a nothing moment, right? It was a goalie getting pulled because his defense was shit.
Yeah.
It's not him slashing Ben Bishop after the period's over, right? Going to the bench.
Yeah, and all that too, like, if he, again, that same thing I just said, one guy says something, he turns his head, he starts saying something back. If one guy says something and then he just darts to the bench and starts punching players, okay.
If Eddie Belfour,
give him plenty of shit for that. But when he's just responding back and it's just like, whatever he said, I'm going to guess something on the lines of, shut the fuck up, you pussy, something like that is probably all he said. Come on,
fans have gotten so soft, and with the way goaltenders act, especially Binnington, because and hypocritical too. Because let's be honest, if their goalie's chirping somebody, they're gonna love it. And let's look at the 70s, right? I mean, it's 70s and early 80s. Oh my God! I mean, Hextall.
I just watched a Billy Smith.
Billy Smith, Hextall. I mean, what's his face for Chicago? He passed away. The Gold Gloves boxer.
Ray Emery.
Yeah. They're fighting, dropping
Chicago
the gloves.
Chicago was the first team you thought of with Ray Emery?
Yeah, Ottawa too.
Ottawa and Philly.
I don't know why.
Ottawa and Philly is where I go to.
Chicago. But yeah, no, I mean, and one of the greatest moments in Blues history, aside from the Cup run, is Curtis Joseph fighting Mike Vernon or Chevelday. It's like, that's awesome. Let goalies get into it. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing dirty. No, don't now. The stick swing at Kadri was much, and the whole fake jab at Carlson was a dick move. You know, he's had a
Right.
few of those moments, but other than
Right.
that, I mean, it's come on.
Yeah, yeah, him against the Sharks never felt good.
Right.
Trying to chirp Dubnik as he's skating off.
Right. Well,
That-
and the thing is that he challenged Dubnik, and Dubnik stayed in his crease. And it's funny because people say, you know, he's, you know, someone's going to kick his ass someday. I'm like, there's been a lot of opportunity for people to kick his ass, and they haven't.
Yeah.
So
I
mean,
want to see it.
I would love to see somebody try to. I mean, maybe they would, and that'd be great to see a goalie fight. Fuck yeah, fight.
Yeah.
I don't
give me
know.
that.
I mean, Dubnik could have came out and fought him. He
Yeah.
should have. He really should have. Who the fuck cares?
That was
Go fight him.
the one opportunity where I think there really should have been a goalie fight. Dubnik should have skated out and said, "All right, you want to act like you're tough? Let's go." Because Dubnik's a big boy.
Yeah.
and announced his retirement from the NHL after 12 seasons just yesterday.
I didn't hear that.
Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah, that's 12 goals the Blues won't score this year.
I still nice. I still want to see Bennington versus Grubauer. That we have not had that game yet since that playoff run.
Grubauer will never fight him.
I would. Oh God, I would love to see it. I just hope. I can hold out hope because apparently it's never going to happen because the Blues will never see Grubauer again.
So yeah, advanced stats, inherently flawed. That's the consensus. We can move on.
I mean,
compared to the eye test.
I love advanced stats because, like you
So do
said,
I.
for me, I like to be able to like look at a game that I didn't watch and say, okay, what happened in this game, and look at some of the advanced stats from it. Oh, that's interesting, but I'm not going to like go to battle with a, let's say, Sabres fan about, oh no, your goaltending's been awful. I haven't watched a minute of Sabres hockey, but I'm going to tell you your goaltending's awful.
Right.
No, you're watching the games. You tell me what you see.
Of all positions, right, Bill? It's like goaltending. They're the one position, and defense too, really, that you just advanced stats. Just they're tough. You can't. You gotta watch them play. It's so hockey's a weird sport. It's so hard to nail down with stats with some of this stuff.
I mean, I like the situational, that you get beyond just your pure numbers, right? And you can get into situational stats, right? I like that part.
Yes.
And that helps to break down, games and trends and that. But I really do think that it's been unfair, right? I can count three goals off of Nick Leddy this year. And, that Leddy hasn't been, like you said earlier, the worst defenseman on this team. But, the puck luck has definitely changed for the Blues. Shooting percentage, we talked about that earlier, way down, and, it doesn't portend well. Your Barbashev, has maybe single-handedly changed that, with how off he is from last year. But on the defensive end of it, that, bad bounces, but bad coverage, right? And I think that I think you guys are right. That is, as much as I'd hate to see, Mike Van Ryn go, maybe that's what needs to happen. Shore up the defense, get some new thought out there, and
I think with advanced stats and goaltending too is like they'll break it down situation like you said, but it's okay. So these number of chances came from this spot on the ice, and the goalie's save percentage on these chances is X number, which is pretty detailed, right? But that still doesn't take into account necessarily a screen. It may take into account a deflection. It doesn't take into account how well the shot is placed. If it's a corner is picked, I guess you can fine grain that even more. But there are a lot of holes in the advanced stats too. It's like just because a shot came from a certain spot on the ice doesn't necessarily mean it was a great save, or they should have made the save. There's a lot of things that could happen to a puck on the way to the net or off the stick. It could be a partially fanned on shot. It could be all kinds of things. And Robert Thomas addressed the comments today on ESPN Radio about some folks blaming the goalies. Gosh, who knew who that would be? And said, if you really watch the games, it's the team in front of them. For the Blues.
It could be 100% the goalie's fault, and he's still going to say something like that. But
I know.
It does reiterate what everybody else who has watched these games is saying.
Right. Players, the GM, and the GM who has no reason during that press conference to say the goaltending has been good. Like you said, that's he signed into a contract. He's going to save face by saying it's been good. Yeah, that he's saying other people suck, and they signed them the contracts too, long ones, expensive ones. So more expensive ones. So it's like, what that's like a weird thing that he said that he didn't even think through. But we'll get more into a little more in Army's press conference, along with what we want to see out of the Blues moving forward after this word from Center Ice Brewery. Do you like hockey? Of course you do. Do you like beer? Of course you do. Are you 21? Let's hope so. If you answered yes to all of those questions, run on down to your local beer distributor and pick up a 2-4 of Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, or any other delicious hockey-themed beer from Center Ice Brewery. That's right, Center Ice Brewery beer is available at various beer stores around town, so check around for the one closest to you. That's Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues! I think we kind of covered most of his press comments already. That Armstrong said we don't lose with pride. We expose our goaltenders. 2/3 or 3/4 of the goals are backdoor tap-ins lately. We seem easily frustrated. We make slow changes out of disgust. And he assured the players in their meeting that he also met with the players that Berube is not an issue, and he isn't going anywhere. So essentially saying the issue is with the players and they need to fix it.
I will say that in a lot of press conferences in the past with other NHL GMs, they give I call it the dreaded vote of confidence in a coach. Because when that happens, that pretty much means, okay, within 2 months, this coach is going to be fired. But I don't know, with Armstrong's bluntness that he's had in the past, and honestly, with his relationship he clearly has with Berube, I actually believe him here. I think he actually believes it's not coaching. Yeah. These guys need to step up and play better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think most people will understand that the play on the ice, just lack of execution is a problem. And I think he has kind of drilled the players more in practice recently. It's not as laid back as it usually is. It's like harsh whistles and drill after drill. None of this moseying in between drills. He's not bag skating them, but
he's making them put the work in.
He's making them put the work in, and there's little breaks, not as many breaks between drills and things, and so he's kind of harsh with the drills. But I don't know if that's going to do anything. The players know. I mean, I think the press conference, the meeting with the GM, and then the television cameras asking some of the players about the press conference and what was said, it's got to be embarrassing for them. And I think Robert Thomas said that he knows he's not concerned because he knows the team is good and they'll turn it around. And he essentially said, and I tweeted this out, he goes, "That's just hockey sometimes." And I heard that quote and I'm thinking, there's a certain element of brilliance in that quote, because those who have played hockey know that hockey is a very strange game in that you're often relying on certain things to go your way to win a game that may be out of your control. So with puck luck and puck bounces and things like that. But granted, with that said, the Blues have not even come close to earning puck luck to help have that win a game. Yeah,
I actually hate the term puck luck because I feel like puck luck only comes to those who actually earn it.
Well, that's
and the Blues have simply not earned it. Yeah, they just haven't earned it. Yeah, so if they put in the work and put in the effort, they will start seeing those bounces. And that's what I think we saw again, not to compare every team from here on out to 2019, but like that's why when we started saying, I remember we said it on this show, man, the Blues are starting to get some bounces that we've never seen them get in the playoffs. And it's because they were putting in that effort. They were skating hard. They were hardworking. And right now, we're just not seeing that effort. There's a lot of times that players we've seen it. I mean, I saw Parayko do it a couple times against LA, shy away from contact. And I'm not just pointing out Parayko. It's multiple players. Kairu's been in there. Even Robert Thomas, who I've kind of praised this season. They've all shied away from contact. They've all avoided the puck battles in the boards that have made them famous for being good. So they get back to that effort. I think this team can easily turn it around. They just got to put the effort in.
So moving forward into the game on Thursday against the Islanders, what do you guys want to see out of the Blues moving forward? I know we've kind of said that as far as what we have not liked and what it kind of implies what needs to be done. But generally speaking, I haven't seen with this team the passion that is needed. I mean, they're out there, they're working, but they're missing that extra notch to get to. They're not finishing their checks the way they should. They don't act like they care quite enough to me. There's no, they're not playing with pride. I think the Armstrong kind of said that. Get angry when necessary. Bertuzzo showed a little bit of that when he challenged what's his name after a late hit on was it Neighbors? I think Neighbors got taken out. I think it was whoever it was. But Bertuzzo was challenging a guy, which, oh gosh, they show some passion. That's nice to see. Got to have, offensive zone time, control the puck. There's just all kinds of things that you could point to they're not doing right that you want to see them do better. It's not just one thing. It's like a dozen different things that they could be. It's so weird to talk about this team right now because when you say one thing, you're like, in your mind, you're like, well, yeah, if they do that better, they might win some games. Well, no, because they're still doing this, and this wrong. I honestly think that once they start doing some of the things better, things start falling into place. I think maybe like dominoes where, everything kind of falls into place.
And that is kind of where I'm coming from. So this is the first 0-5-0 run they've had under Berube, but they've had 5-game winning streaks or 5-game losing streaks under Berube in the past. And I had to look it up exactly to find it, but I did. So February 2020, this was right after the Bouwmeester thing happened in Anaheim. They actually went on a 5-game losing streak under Berube. 2 of those games were in OT, so they were technically 0-3-2. And before that, they had been losing games too. And for those that remember that season before it was shortened by COVID, Blues were one of the best teams in the NHL that whole year. They were fantastic. But they finally hit the skid in February. And I remember they lost to Nashville in Nashville.
They were the best team.
Well, yes,
right?
By the time it ended, yes.
But
at this point, they were top 2, top 3 in the Western Conference still. But they were on a very bad skid. So they lost to Nashville 2-1. Did not play a good game. So they come back home. They're playing a bad Devils team. And again, they were 0-2-3 at this point in the last 5. I remember this game very well because I remember even thinking, this team just needs to get back to the basics. Puck up the boards, get it out against a bad team. You'll get your scoring chances. Just play a very basic game. And that's what they did. They came in against New Jersey on February 18th, 2020. And they played a very basic game. Jordan Binnington and net got the shutout. They won 3-0. Every single puck, when it was on their stick in the defensive zone, was lifted out to center. It was the most boring game in the history of Blues hockey. But they went out and they played a game that was all basics. They won the game 3-0. Then they go 2 nights later, same thing. Play the Arizona Coyotes. Win the game 1-0. The most boring hockey game of all time. But they won the game. They got back in the win column. And that continued until they started playing their game again. And guess what? They went on an 8-game winning streak. So that is what I want to see out of this team. Get back to the basics. Get the puck out to center. beat guys to loose pucks, battle in the corners, maybe forecheck a little bit, not as much as we've seen in the past. Just a very basic game. Play it bare bones. Get yourself back in the win column, then start adding in your elements of the game.
Keep it simple.
Yeah,
Kiss method.
keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with you. You almost have to, right?
Yeah,
Right.
you got to get back to the basics and rediscover your game. And then, as I said, you win the game, you move on game to game and say, okay, guys, let's up that forecheck this game. Okay, guys, let's play more zone than man-to-man. You start adding back in your elements that make you an identity of the St. Louis Blues over time.
Right. I was gonna say something similar, but hit the reset button. Right. Just let's put everything that's happened to this point behind us and let's find our game again. And I think you're right. You do that by getting back to the basics, winning boring hockey games, and then build from there.
I think also too, I just want to say that in this 5-game losing streak, they, played 3 really bad games, and 1 game was meh, and another game was really good against Edmonton. So, they've been really bad, especially the last 2 games. Some of the worst hockey I've seen in a while, but let's keep into mind the sample size too. It's very small. It's very early in the season, 8 games in. Just the last 5 games has been a problem. So, I'm not. That's why it was kind of surprising to me to hear Armstrong talk about hinting about a rebuild or a retool or restructure or whatever you call it, because it is so early in the season, and apparently he brought it up without being asked about it in the press conference. No one asked him a question. He just brought it up.
I wonder if that's a scare tactic.
I was thinking the same thing.
To guys like Thomas and Kyrou mostly, because it's like, you're with this team. You're not going anywhere. Do you want to go through a rebuild? I'm going to guess not.
Well, the entire press conference, I think, was planned. It's like a staged to for a purpose, because the team had been answering the same questions for days and the same struggles. They were given the same answers, and I think Armstrong wanted to do this to take the heat off the players, to take the heat off the coaches, to just give them a break from talking to the media about this stuff for a while. And I think that's part of it. And also the whole, hey, reminder that if things aren't going well, because we want to win, so if things aren't going well at a certain point in the season, we're gonna have to cut some losses and move some and make some changes. So to keep that in mind, even though the guys that have no trade clauses and long-term contracts probably like, well, you ain't trading me. That's somebody else you're talking to, But
yeah, but I mean, nobody wants to go through a rebuild.
No. Up next for the Blues, we got the Islanders in town Thursday night. They're playing very well right now. 1-4 straight wins versus Colorado, Carolina, the Rangers, and Chicago. This will be a good test for the Blues, trying to break the losing streak. It's playing a good team. Sometimes a team is struggling. Playing a good team might be good for them. Make them play a better game, or make them simplify things to play good hockey. So some people are calling this a big disaster waiting to happen tomorrow, which very well could happen too. But
I don't know. I was excited about the LA game. I thought that was going to be a game they might turn it around. That clearly did not happen. That was their worst game in a long time. But I'm going to go in with some optimism to this game too, just because they're not going to lose every game 5, 6, 7-1. They're going to eventually win another game. And even if they don't win tomorrow, if they put forth a good effort and show some again, the backdoor passes that are getting through, if those get stopped, but they still lose 2-1, 3-2, whatever, I'm going to walk away with a smile on my face. I think, and I'll say again, I know the offense has not been great. They've missed a lot of opportunities, but to me, I'm watching the defense. I think the offense will figure it out. It's going to round out eventually. It's a game where you have these bad stretches on offense. I need to see the defense put forth a better effort. If I see that, and even if they lose the game, I'm still in a good mood.
Yeah. Tomorrow will be my first game in person this season. And interestingly, the last game I went to was the Islanders last year.
Oh.
So that was a game that the Blues were kind of struggling going down the stretch, and Bennington was a big start for him. Actually, no, the last game I went to last year was Vegas when they shot the bed.
That
but
was the last game of the season.
Yeah, the last good game that I went to last year was the Islanders, and Bennington. That was the game that I knew he had found his game back. So hoping to see something like that tomorrow night, but with the trend that the Isles are kind of surging right now. Not expecting a whole lot. And I'm just gonna enjoy my tickets tomorrow night and be on my best behavior.
The the St. Louis Electronics in the chat has said one of the comments has said that you can keep Letty and give me Perron. That's a hot button topic.
It really is
in St. Louis. And I know we've discussed this. If you sign Perron instead of Letty, then your defense is even worse than it is right now. So
they could completely rebuild and retool, and I'm still okay with them keeping Letty over Perron.
Yeah,
because going into the season, you needed something on defense. You didn't need offense.
Right. We were the deepest team forward-wise in the NHL last season, and our defense needed help. Letty played well for us after we acquired him. Perron, Letty, similar money. I understand the desire. Letty's not the better player, but this team needed him more than they needed Perron going into the season. And losing Scandella and Prunovich, we lost our depth on defense. That was unforeseen. So ideally we'd have Prunovich playing and Scandella playing. Not that we're big fans of Scandella, but
Scandella playing in the A.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was all about
crazy.
Prunovich playing. I was wanting to see him play and get some ice time and be a puck moving defenseman and quarterback the power play, something that Krug wasn't. And then, maybe something happens with Krug. But yeah, that's not going to happen until the end of the season. A week to go.
Yeah. I don't know. This team didn't need offense. They needed defense. And again, I'm going to say Nick Letty was not enough for me. I don't think that's enough. I think this team needed another kick in the pants defensively, not just Nick Letty. But again, if you're talking about needs for this team, Nick Letty played well for the Blues down the stretch. So you got to go with Letty over Perron.
I agree with you. I don't think anybody is saying that Letty's a better player than Perron is. I think Perron is a dynamic offensive player. It can be. But I imagine our defense without Letty right now. I mean, Letty's been a decent player for us. We'd be even worse. I don't even know where we'd be. So
yeah, I'm with Matt Harris. He says winning games by having defense is better than having Perron, and I'm a Perron fan. That's what he says, and I'm with you.
So St. Louis Electronics says Perron is better than team needs. I'm not sure what that means.
Basically saying you'd rather have Perron than what the team needs.
He's just a fan of Perron and just would like to enjoy watching Perron play. Is this
I
Perron?
love David Perron too, but give me what improves the team more than David Perron.
Yeah, I love Perron. I wish we could have kept Perron. I would, but I mean, if you're keeping offense and hurting the defense when the defense is the glaring issue to start with, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And it would have been great if we could have moved some pieces to keep Perron and keep Letty or improve the defense, whatever. That's a different discussion.
I'll say it again. Marco Scandella is not on this team. David Perron stays.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And you don't know at the time that Scandella is going to be LTIR for most of the season, and you can keep him.
Right.
But-
That happened like a month later, right? Where he got hurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully the last word on Perron here, because we've talked about it a lot, is I worry that there wasn't any communication with Perron's camp, right? They went into free agency without any sniff from the Blues, and so they're like, yeah, Detroit wants us, let's go, right? And maybe that, to me, it feels like everything was said without anything being said, right? We're not bringing you back, right? We're not even going to reach out and say, let us see what we can do here. And Brown's like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go where I want to play. I still want to play, and this team's going to give me a contract. Got a bunch of old buds on that team now. I'm going. I hate
Matt
that
Harris
part of it.
says, man, I felt kind of spoiled not having to be pissed at Scandella so far this season. Is it wrong that part of me's like, is this defense better with Marco Scandella? Because I've questioned that. At least he's a big body who might block some of those passes through the crease. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that the puck's going off of instead of Letty.
Maybe.
All right. I guess St. Louis Electronics is just not a Letty fan.
They say that.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready to wrap the show up? We're
I
over.
am.
We're
Oh
over.
yeah.
All right. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockandthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockandthatidlife.com, and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockandthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Visit strikewithmike.com today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's strikewithmike.com. And by Sunrise Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out your local beer vendors for availability. That's Sunrise Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That'll wrap up episode 6 of season 11 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, it's not the goaltending. Let's go Blues.
Not the goaltending. Let's go Blues.
It's not the goaltending. Let's go Blues.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at fourth.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number 1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues.